Guys, I already miss her, bro. I already miss the Hawk Tuah girl. Can she come back to the Talk Tuah podcast? My life has been dramatically worse since she stopped doing the Talk Tuah podcast. That was like the only thing that me and my friends bonded over. We would get together every Friday with a big, large cheese pizza that we'd split evenly while watching the Talk Tuah podcast. We would laugh, the room would light up, and there was a certain energy in the air that's since been gone and absent since Hawk Tuah was gone. I mean, look at this smile. Look at this smile. This is a fucking $1 million smile. I miss her. It's not been the same without you, Haley Welch. I miss you so much. I want you to come back. And I really I feel like my will to live has been seriously depleted when she's been gone.
Haley Welch, aka the Hawk Tuah girl, is the perfect example of how to lose your entire audience as quickly as possible. From openly taking advantage of her fans to lying during a coffee—
Guys, this wasn't taking advantage of your fans. The Hawk Tuah coin was a great financial investment that people want to claim was like a scam or a rug pull. Guys, it went up in price, only temporarily, but you just didn't have the vision to take it out when it was up. When the money goes up, you take your money. Some people are like, oh, well, some people only lost money. Okay, well, those weren't the true Hawk Tuah fans. Like, obviously, me being someone who full ported Hawk Tuah coin and walked out with a bag, like, I'm not mad. She's an angel.
Zilla interview and denying any wrong—
Also, by the way, I don't fully understand. Like, people think that this was like okay, here's the thing, right? Hawk Tuah, it's funny, spit on that thing, hilarious, hysterical, S-tier comedy, would pay to watch this. But like, it's a dick joke, and it's funny because she's like, you know, attractive, but she's not even that attractive.
wrongdoing. It's no surprise that—
Chat, I mean, like, people are saying smash, but that's like a joke, right?
all of Haley's social media stats are in the red and dropping fast. However, that decline seems to only be the beginning of Haley's career downfall.
Thank you
Right.
to all my true fans and all the people that actually watch my stuff and they keep up with me. We're trying to sort out all the pieces and stuff to like get all this figured out and make everything right. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
No, don't.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna she says I'm gonna cry. Imagine, like, no meme, like, jokes aside, imagine claiming you're gonna cry. I've been brought to tears. All my true fans, you are a walking dick joke, okay? You are literally the internet deciding that a cock joke is in season and then deciding to get a chuckle, and then now you think that you, like, are humanized. You're not. You're an internet meme. You're a dick joke. Like, you are the result of, like, guys thinking that, like, oh, spitting about penis, like, that was funny for like 5 seconds. You have no right to cry. You are now a millionaire who's been set for life for doing nothing.
Stuff to like get all this figured out and make
And also, you literally did scam your audience. Like, she wants to say that she didn't know what happened. She also walked away from the Coffee Zilla interview where she was dead to rights.
everything right. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
No, don't cry. Don't cry.
Face
Don't cry.
Banks is
Everything's
doing
gonna be
that.
good. We're gonna be good.
Hi, I'm the internet anarchist.
Fucking face like, look at this shit,
Cry.
bro.
Don't cry. Everything's gonna be good. We're gonna be good.
Hi, I'm the internet anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries,
Insane.
and today
Insane.
we'll be uncovering the crumbling career of Haley Welch, how she tried to fool the internet a second time, why her interview with FaZe is doing more harm than good, and
Right.
her horrible comeback causing her to lose 90% of her fan base.
Also,
around
yeah.
2 months ago, I uploaded this video detailing Haley's journey to online notoriety. However, the long and short of it is that Haley is the type of person who can leverage her meme status to build a notable podcasting platform and then throw it all away for a crypto pump and dump.
Hey y'all, it's Haley, and I just want to say thank you for joining my space. And I also
Okay, I'm gonna be fully honest with you though. So it seems like people who get the overnight success go one of two routes. This is number one, like podcast, get it while it's hot sort of stuff, like cash in on the fame while it's still there, then do a crypto rug pull with said fame. That makes sense. Like, that's option one. It's terrible. It's unethical. I understand why you do it. Then there's option two, which seems to be like do nothing, where it's like, oh, I was funny for 5 seconds. Now I'm gone. Life as usual. I feel like you can't not do what she's doing if you're famous now. If you get like this overnight success flashbang, you kind of have to cash in on it to some extent. Then you turn out like the D's nuts guy who's like tweaking on the side of the road in Florida. And so it's like, yeah, you kind of have to monetize the fame that you got, even if it's stupid, right? So I get that. I get to talk to a podcast thing, even though what the fuck could you possibly be talking about? You are funny because of a dick joke. I don't get it. At the same time, you're still a piece of shit.
A crypto pump and dump.
Hey y'all, it's Haley, and I just want to say thank you for joining my space, and I also want to thank you for my 15,000 holders. We got snipe botted today, but we didn't sell a single token. This is just a launch, and I want to tell you I'm here to stay. The plan is to give these coins to my real fans, the ones that buy my merch, watch my podcast, donate
No
to my
one
charity.
buys your merch.
And I
No
also want
no one buys your merch.
to tell you that I learned a lot along the way. But I just
Obviously reading from a script.
want to say, screw the sniper bots, and I'm not going anywhere.
Following her controversial crypto project, Haley completely disappeared from social media with the hope that the heat would die down eventually.
Right.
Well, it seems Haley is ready to test the waters once again.
Also, it was so funny. She wants to act like she's above the very thing that got her famous now. Have you guys seen the clip where someone comes up to her at some convention and then he's like, can you say the thing? Say the Hawk Tuah. And she's like, I'm not going to say it. And then, there's a security guard that comes up to the guy and he's like, no, sir, back up. No, we're not doing that. It's like, bitch, this is what you're famous for. You're famous for saying Hawk Tuah, and now you're gonna act like you're so above it. Guys, no, I'm not gonna say Hawk Tuah, okay? That's so behind us. What? Unbelievable.
On the 6th of February 2025, a new episode of the Hawk Tuah podcast was leaked online, and fans got front row seats to Haley blaming everyone but herself for 40 minutes straight.
How do you feel?
I don't know. I'm still a little shook up about it.
How was the nap?
It was a very long nap. I would say that's what sucks about it too. I had to read that off a phone and put it in my words, and I was like, anywho.
I mean, I wouldn't want to say it either again, but that's just me. Well, yeah, you wouldn't want to say it, but then she's acting like, like that's like why you're famous. Like the least you can do is say it. You're worth $1 million. It's not that bad.
Bad.
This is mainly for me, and again, why I wanted to come here and talk about this is because millions of people are going to watch this. Everybody's kind of waiting to hear what you say. Everyone's kind of waiting to see how this plays out. And 99% of these people don't know shit about crypto.
I'm one of them.
Just like you. Exactly.
I'm one of them.
Exactly. And the ongoing
Did
joke
he get
on
paid to
CT
do
right
PR?
now is if she just did this 2 days after Trump, she'd be okay.
Exactly.
Which isn't necessarily true because of the way it was done. And that's kind of the whole point, right? There's a right and a wrong way to do this. And if you have interest, it's mostly important that your network and the people that you trust to walk into this market are exactly that, people that you can trust.
I think that's where I messed up.
For sure.
Unsurprisingly, the first few moments of the interview were dedicated to disarming viewers by making Haley look like the victim, even going as far as pretending to cry.
Thank you to all my true fans and all the people that actually watch my stuff and they keep up with me.
And they buy my merch.
We're trying to sort out all the pieces and stuff to get all this figured out and make everything right. Oh my god,
I mean, you launched a meme coin. You know what you did. I don't understand why she's acting like she has no clue what happened. And she was a passenger and someone took over the train and decided to take it to the destination of the crypto rug pull. You co-signed this. You tweeted this. This is something where you can only launch a meme coin for money. Nobody who launches a meme coin does it because they think it's funny. They all want money. If you make a meme coin, you are doing it because you want money. If I ever launch a meme coin and I say that I'm doing it because I just want to see what would happen, I think it would be funny. If I ever do that, I'm fucking lying, okay? I'm selling out, okay? I'm lying to you for money. That's what you're doing. And she knows that. She lied for money. She said that it would be a funny thing to do to bring the community together, which doesn't exist. There is no community. She's doing that for money, to line her pockets, which I think is already crazy because she had lined her pockets with the podcast. She monetized her fame very fucking well for someone who randomly, by the grace of the algorithms, finesse and touch, got famous. Yeah, she decided to make a podcast and sell merch, and it sold. I'm joking and no one's bought her merch, but more than 0 people have bought the merch. Not literally nobody. So she's made money, and it's crazy.
I'm gonna cry.
No, don't cry. Don't.
And she also, I think, did a podcast with Jake Paul and got a sponsor from, all these podcast episodes were sponsored. So she made a fuckload of money. It's crazy that you weren't just fine with that for doing nothing.
Don't cry. Don't cry. Everything's gonna be good. We're gonna be good.
To give the interview some legitimacy, FaZe would preface the interaction by stating that transparency was their top priority.
Make sure that we address everything and get through
is he being paid by her?
all of exactly what happened. I think that it's really, really important at this point to be totally transparent about everything that happened with you and your partners and this launch and in crypto, and what makes this bad and what makes what Iggy Azalea is doing maybe even good, and what makes Trump's doing different, right? I want to get through all that. So I brought 2 guys that I live with and do this crypto shit at a very high level. I brought Thread Guy, he's the biggest streamer in crypto, and I brought Frank D Gods, who launched a very successful project last cycle, and he trades at a very high level. He's one of the best trencher trader guys. These guys are really, really sharp, and they know this market inside and out. And most importantly, They have front-facing brands, and their faces are everywhere, and we're all docs, and we all have to move militant, and we're all super passionate.
Considering the gravity of the situation and the damage Haley had caused to her audience,
think that matters. Like, running cover for her doesn't matter because she's already cooked. Like, you can't explain away the rug pull. The rug pull happened, that's it. You can't be like, well, this is why it happened. Well, no one cares why it happened. It did happen. Like, well, you see, you know, we did steal millions of dollars from our fans, but here's why, okay? Like,
she'd put repairing her career over profit. But that wasn't the case. Briefly, 5 minutes into this career-defining interview, Haley shamelessly inserted a sponsored segment meant to further profit off the fans whom she'd already taken millions.
Alright, you guys, I only got one sponsor left because there's some real ones and they've stuck with me since every bit of this started. Game Time believes in me, y'all, and I believe in them.
What is Game Time?
More loyal than most.
What is Game Time? What Game Time is? Okay, sports, music, and shows tickets. Okay, yeah, Hawk Tuah. That's the code I'm gonna use when I'm buying tickets. For sure.
See y'all's mans out here.
Yes.
This apology is brought to you by Game Time. Yeah.
Some of those guys just leave it the first opportunity
This
they
rug
get.
pull.
Not Game Time.
Hell yeah, this podcast ain't going nowhere, and neither are them Game Time deals.
Despite openly prioritizing her own financial
It is going somewhere, though. It's going away. Don't trust them if they're sponsoring her. They probably don't care. They probably got a good deal. Like, because you have to understand, for a lot of podcasts and like YouTubers, they will, like companies will pay for views because they're just so cheap. If you have to pay for traditional advertising and marketing on legacy media like the news or TV shows like cable stuff, like they get charged a premium. YouTubers will take pennies on the dollar because it's still really good money. Like all you have to do is read the commercial and you're getting a fuckload. And so that's probably what Hawk Tuah was doing.
gain over fans, Haley would describe her reasons for creating and promoting the Hawk token as more altruistic.
So
Explain.
this idea got brought to me like months ago, and I was kind of, I don't want to do that. I don't know anything about it, and I've never heard the space is a good place to be. So I was like, I don't know about it. Which we trusted the guy that come to us. He was a friend of, I don't know, a friend of a friend, I guess you can put him. That was my biggest mistake.
Yeah,
I probably should have looked into him.
We heard a little bit
more.
about him. Apparently, he had like a pretty strong network in LA and kind of used that as leverage to, you know, give himself a vouch. And I think the guy probably more or less overstated his qualifications in executing something like this. Fair to say.
Yes.
Which is usually the case.
In addition, Haley threw everyone else under the bus as she painted her former collaborator, Doc Hollywood, as a shady individual and called her critic, CoffeeZilla, a scary person to converse with.
Lol.
CoffeeZilla got on there.
He's
That
scary.
Scary guy. Let me tell you, don't ever want to have a conversation with him.
We're a little bit more charitable than Coffee.
Well, CoffeeZilla just exposes scammers, and if you're one of the scammers that he's exposing, I can maybe see why you don't take too kindly to it.
I think Coffee kind of has.
Only scary if you have something to hide. That sounds like something like a police officer would say when they want to search your car. But when CoffeeZilla says it, like it's legitimately just something that he's doing to expose a scammer. Like it makes perfect sense. I think he's completely in the right. Like, yeah, he's scary because he's spitting facts, and the facts are scary if you're in the wrong. Like the truth is scary. The truth hurts if you're legitimately stealing money from people. Like that's like, oh my god, bro, it's so obvious. And yeah, you don't want to be in his crosshairs. Like, yeah, I guess he's scary if you're a scammer.
Has a little
That's
bit
kind of a self-report.
disdain for crypto in general. Us, on the other hand, we live and breathe it every day. We want to see crypto succeed. We do it every single day. But Coffee definitely, like, you know what I mean? He's definitely asking the right questions. It's the way that he asks them, maybe, is why you guys can't really find a spot to like talk or have like any sort of conversation.
I guess to be fair, if she played a backseat role in this thing to a certain extent, she's not gonna understand what's being asked by CoffeeZilla. When he's asking things that are technical, she won't have an answer for him.
With each other, but we actually did talk to him. We had a conversation with him, and he gave us some broad questions to share and ask you. They're good questions.
Oh, that scares me if they come from him.
No, don't worry about it. Don't be scared.
He's such a scary guy.
Haley's narrative made it out to seem that she was a passive observer
Literal victim narrative, by the way. As well.
who wanted nothing but the best for her fans. But the structure of her business deal with Doc Hollywood tells a different story.
Internet always wants to know is like, do they offer you money up front, part of the tokens? Like, how did that work? Like, So the deal, I can speak to that. So the deal that she did was like a brand image likeness deal where they paid her $125,000 up front.
Ooh.
They were supposed to pay her $200,000 after the launch of the coin within 30 days. She was supposed to have full transparency to tokenomics and everything going on,
Right.
which they did stay in communication about it, but it just was an ever-evolving game plan, essentially. So back end
Off-cameraman speaks for her yet again.
participation was to always be mutually agreed, and what they had agreed on in the tokenomics was there was a 10% allocation of the token that would be on a 1-year lock, and then a 3-year drip after that. Of that 10%,
This thing is not lasting 3 years.
half of that was supposed to go to the company that created the project, and half was to go to her. So out of 100% of the token, she would have had.
Is that
5%
Pookie?
at the end.
Remember this statement from Haley's team? It'll be important later. Circling back, Haley's lawyer claimed that the contract with Doc Hollywood didn't match the tokenomics they were given, and stated the issue was only noticed after the fact.
This kind of all was happening even without you really knowing or having view on any of it until post. You know, you're handling the cleanup and trying to protect Haley and trying to do right by Haley now, but you didn't have the opportunity to like.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I negotiated the contract with the company. We have like accounting transparency rules and requirements that I added to the contract. SEC compliance requirements I added into the contract that they would have to do as project manager. And so we continued to inquire all along the process about the tokenomics. It was a kind of a shifting narrative and explanation of tokenomics. The most recent tokenomics that were given to us prior to the launch had the pre-sale investors being on a 1-month lock with a
Oh, so essentially there was something about the rug pull aspect to it where, let me see.
1-year drip after that.
Okay.
It's pretty obvious on chain that didn't happen.
Okay, yeah. So essentially what he's saying here is that the people who were able to access the pre-sale and own a lot of the supply were not supposed to be able to dump, and they did.
But 80% of the supply is still in control.
I don't really think that matters, though.
The dev still controls 80%.
And who are they?
I do not know who the dev is. That was never disclosed.
The contract already reeks of mismanagement. Tokenomics wasn't accurately discussed. Haley's team didn't even know who was creating the product they were shilling.
I mean, how are you Haley Welsh? I mean, I mean, look, like, if you're Haley Welsh, there's clearly something where it's like, well, why the fuck would I not take the 120K or the 200K, right? Take it while it's hot. I'm still famous. I should take the money. But it is legitimately so stupid that you have a podcast that is getting views from people that are memeing it. And you could probably ride that out for a decent amount of time. But it's like, you're just going to allow for these shadow people to create a contract that you will sign that allows your brand and likeness to be used, and for you to contractually have to retweet it, where people are legitimately able to dump on your fans. Like, they can just literally... That's crazy.
And apparently, most of it is still controlled by unknown individuals.
Also bad.
Which leaves a clear question. How on earth did they think the project would work out well?
What was the pre-sale structure exactly?
I'm not certain to the structure of the pre-sale. There was a 17% allocation. Most of the pre-sale investors, my understanding is, were Asia.
Right. Asia.
Based in Asia.
Okay.
And there was, again,
I was just following orders mindset.
supposed to be a 1-month lock.
I left for a bit. What's going on now? FaZe Banks is adopting Hawk Tuah or something. Is he going to pimp her out to pay off for crypto crimes? Okay, so basically FaZe Banks and his crypto buddies are talking about the Hawk Tuah podcast and the scam that was done with the rug pull. And this guy behind the camera is basically saying that the contract she agreed to was fucking terrible and allowed for people to pump and dump. Now, what I'm not understanding is why she agreed to it, apart from the 200K, because there are people who got more rich off of it than she did, obviously. But why did she just not know that? And I'm also very disturbed by this image right here on the top right of the screen. It's just an AI image of her as Superwoman. Very disturbing.
Lock with a 1-year drip after that.
And how much was raised for that 17%?
2.8 million.
Despite Haley and her team's gross incompetence, FaZe thought the real issue with the token was that people were calling it a scam and making crypto look bad.
And then obviously we've seen this story a million fucking times, right? So we more or less know what happens. The issue for you is the millions and millions of people who farmed views off this and made stories about this and covered it, your average fan, the average fucking middle America 16-year-old kid who's a fan of you,
like,
just sees crypto scam, which is again another.
Well, that is what happened. Like, she signed a scam contract. I'm confused why she's saying that it's not a scam, or that he's saying it's not a scam when it literally is. Like, what he's saying is that what happened is a bunch of people that are like retarded hicks that saw the Tuah thing in the southern accent are like, oh, that's hot, huh, dick. What is she doing? And they see the podcast, like, he's thinking that they're just too retarded to understand what a crypto scam is. No, she just admitted she signed a faulty contract, and the scam did take place. It's all on chain.
A huge part of the conversation that I'm passionate about, where it's just like crypto already has this bad rap, and it's because of things like this, and it's because the onboarding process is flawed.
Because it is.
The barrier to entry is flawed. You probably don't even understand half of what's being talked about right
Yeah, she can play dumb.
now. That's what
but
I'm saying.
You did do this. You
It's like
you
there's
allowed
a
for this
real
to happen.
language barrier.
Language barrier?
point
Dude,
is, like,
come on.
If you have no business in crypto, you probably shouldn't be in.
Even though most of the interview's talking points were focused on sympathizing with Haley's poor introduction to crypto, her co-host thankfully brought up some ways she could help the people who were actually scammed by the token.
But I think if you took all of the money that you made from the deal, whatever, and just like bought back the coin and then locked it up, I feel like that's a very like clear action that you can make, back to.
She's adding liquidity to the pool. So essentially the value of the shit that people got rugged on goes back up. So if any poor soul still owns Tuah coin, the value of their investment goes up and they can take money back and get more money out of it.
The community. And I think that would just like stamp it and the community can run with it. So
yeah,
that's like the idea that we were talking
as far
about.
as narrative goes and a gesture.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You just fucking nailed that, by the way. And that would, you mentioned it earlier, 125,000 plus 100,000, or what did I hear?
Yeah, so
she would basically be giving 200K to the value of the thing, which would make people, obviously divided up amongst however many people have the coin. It's still helpful, but she didn't fucking do this.
How much total money has been received due to this?
125,000.
And she's keeping it. Why would she ever do that? She doesn't give a fuck.
Been received. Yeah. Basically what Frank just said in normal people terms is you take every dollar that you made on this and you mark it by this token and you lock it up. You walk away from it. You don't ever see that money. You can never touch it again.
She's not fucking doing that. Look at her face. She's like, oh, I could do that. She's taking the money and running with it. This person does not care about the people she scammed. She's playing dumb. And obviously, she could help if she wanted to. She could give money back to people that she scammed. But she will not do that. She can sit here and take the solution that they're giving and she can shut her fucking brain off. And basically, like, that's it. Oopsies, I scammed you. Not my fault. I am going to keep my money, though.
And you say,
I don't know what's happening. Okay, that's fine. Here's the solution. Oh, I'm not going to do it.
Maybe I'm not going to talk about this every day. Whatever, but I'm going to stand on business. I put my face on this. I'm accepting the responsibility that this happened. And hopefully, everybody is made whole at some point.
When presented with such a clear way to start undoing the havoc they caused, one would imagine Haley's team would gladly take the opportunity, especially after they claimed to have good intentions from the start. Unfortunately, Haley's team had other plans, as they took advantage of the hype around the interview to briefly pump the price of Hawk and sell some of the token. Almost immediately after, FaZe published a tweet completely disavowing the interview, reading, "So in an attempt to hear Haley Welch's side of the crypto scam story, I agreed to do her first podcast back. I had heavy stipulations, including
Dude, that's insane!
1.
They did it again!
Not allowing markets to be manipulated by leaking this episode's existence before a resolution was found. 2. Her team finding a real solution regarding the money she made, where that should go, and what to do with the Hawk project moving forwards. These were non-starters, and we were already told this episode would only ever see the light of day if we explicitly greenlit it. FaZe would also expose the reason why the podcast was leaked in the first place. Reading, "We noticed a random spike in volume on the coin along with random messages asking if we did the podcast. Very clearly, her team was not as solid as they claimed to be. Now today, the episode randomly gets leaked. The price of Hawk is pumping, and they completely effing fumbled the bag yet
Right.
again. What a effing mess. Poor girl. It's a wonder how she found herself in this position in the first place. Now, Haley Welsh, I'm gonna speak to you directly and say the exact same thing I said to you on Spaces that night. Fire everybody, your team's redacted. Once again, Haley let her greed and lack of concern for
They
fans get the better of her. And just like before, it landed
I mean, Banks is completely
right in
right.
CoffeeZilla's crosshairs. By the 8th of February 2025, CoffeeZilla published a video titled Hawk Tuah is Back, which discussed the disastrous state
Right.
of Haley's career and revealed some exclusive information about what's been going on behind the scenes.
What I
Right.
got on there. That scary guy. Let me tell you, don't ever want to have a conversation with him.
Whoa. Don't ever want to have a conversation with me. Guys, I'm not intimidating. I don't know what's the problem here. I'm Joe Rogan inches tall, guys. It's not
Bro.
a striking figure here you're going to be scared of. If you meet me in person, you're not going to be like, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Relax. It's fine. Just get on the call.
Just get on the call.
Let's
it's that
have
easy.
a conversation. I don't understand. And
that
I also
easy.
thought this was weird because Haley Welch's lawyer invited me on the show. In fact, like, really, really wanted me on their show.
Right.
And kept telling me how much Haley
Of course, the lawyer did.
Welch liked me. Hence the T-shirt. You know, I used to like CoffeeZilla
CoffeeZilla,
until
then he
wouldn't come on my
exposed me.
podcast.
Oh.
Then he is, you know,
A scammer.
Voldemort, and we
Or
can't
he's
mention
scary.
him.
Yeah.
Scary. Watch out. Don't talk about CoffeeZilla.
Dude, it's crazy that, like, the lawyer is the one saying this, because obviously the lawyer who's going to have an outlined script that he's going to, like, read for CoffeeZilla and manipulate the story, probably to fucking pump more Hawk token, is, you know, obviously going to do that. It's just crazy.
He's intimidating. Here's the message.
Haley would like to have you as a guest on our podcast. You would be her first guest since the failed token launch, and it should get significant amount of views. Would be very friendly. She really likes you, and like, shut the fuck up.
I got from her lawyer.
And this would just be used to pump the token even more.
Haley would like to have you on as a guest on our podcast. You'd be the first guest since the failed crypto token launch, and would get significant amount of views. Would be very friendly. This guy must not know me. She really likes you. Wow.
He must not.
I thought she didn't want to have a conversation with me. What gives?
Yeah.
While CoffeeZilla declined the podcast
Interesting.
appearance, he still wanted to know what happened between Haley's team.
Because what the reason for this is because then Haley gets to slap another fucking Game Time sponsorship on the podcast that they know people will watch. It basically becomes her platform that she can monetize to whatever extent that she wants. And so what would be best would be to have this in a neutral setting, like off camera or on Twitter or something like that. Because if there's an incentive for podcast makes money. Ow, sorry about that. Yeah, like literally.
And Doc Hollywood before the token's launch.
First, I don't want to rehab someone's image who scammed people. And I
Right.
really felt
Yes.
that questions had not been answered that should have been answered. Such as, what was the agreement with Haley Welch and with Doc Hollywood? Very simple question, right?
Yeah.
Basically, Haley Welch's position is, oh, I was a victim. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how much, I was barely going to make money. 125K plus like, you know, half of 10% of the tokens locked for a year. Like this terrible deal. I got taken advantage of by these monsters. Like that was
Right.
kind of their position. And all I wanted to know was, you know, give me the contract. Show me that
Show
is
me.
true.
Just show me.
And unfortunately, they were not able to give it. He's not in a position to share it, he says.
Interesting.
I'm sorry.
How
I said,
interesting
can't
is
verify
that?
anything you say then. Even what you
Oh.
told me about the 50% split, which I had heard Hawk
Huh.
Tuah Girl was going to make 50% of all the profits. And he kind of told me, no, that's just applies to the tokens. So I was like, oh, well, maybe she's less of a stakeholder in this than I thought. I don't know.
After this, CoffeeZilla explained that he gave FaZe certain questions to ask Haley, since they wouldn't share the contract and stipulated that the podcast would remain a secret until some positive changes were made. As we've already discussed, that condition wasn't met, and Haley's team would claim it was an editing error.
The guys behind it,
Right.
they said it was an editor mistake. Oh, oops. Yes, the guys who interviewed us thought we may
Fucking
have
liars,
insider traded
bro.
the coin.
Liars.
But this guy says he vouches for the internal team, saying it was none of them. And Better, which is Jake Paul's team, I guess, No way they would ever do something like that, guys.
Jake
Believe us,
Paul,
we will likely never know the info.
who is in the
clip
Paul
posting
family of
today was
scamming, by the way.
accidental by better.
Should have just done OF. Yeah, well, actually makes a lot of sense. If you're a walking dick joke, like at this point, it makes a lot more sense for you to just strip naked and then actually spit on that thing. I would think it'd be infinitely better for her to do OF than take millions of dollars from people.
There's editor who had the episode in the YouTube queue waiting on approvals to release. Now, I don't know if this is true or false. I thought the weird thing about this video is that, like, everyone has had, anyone in media who's, like, had a sensitive episode recorded, you don't, like, do all the work if you think it might get canned. Like, obviously, right?
Right.
These people not only
doesn't really make
edited
sense.
the show, they
did
put
sponsors.
an ad in the leaked version of the episode, okay?
Funny how that
works. I'm
works.
not saying it didn't leak. I'm saying it's highly convenient.
While the leaked interview might have benefited Haley's team in the short term, it would ultimately come back to bite them, as it created some very obvious contradiction in their story, compared to the evidence from CoffeeZilla's investigation.
This is from Doc Hollywood himself.
50-50. Oh,
which, if
wow.
you remember, is like the key guy. Here he is saying...
She wouldn't even have to do anything on OF, just post paywalled images. Like, literally, all you have to do is just turn it into an Instagram that you have to pay for. You know how many people do that? That's what fucking, Nadia, Call of Duty cheating Nadia, who I remember because I watched an old video of mine recently, where I was talking about how she faked pooping in a pool. And she literally does this thing where she just posts bikini pictures and people pay like $5 to see the bikini pictures. Like, it would have been that easy. All she had to do was just make a Fansly or whatever the fuck and then have people pay $10 to watch her, like, just not even spit on that thing. Like, just be like with bikini. That's it, dude. Would have been that easy. And people wouldn't even have been mad because it's like, yeah, like you joked about sucking dick and now you're paywalling content that is, you know, somewhat for an adult male audience. That same audience enjoyed your little Hawk Tuah thing. And there's more dignity in that by 1,000 times than rug pulling people, literally robbing them. There's a difference between robbing them and then, like, you know, making them pay to jerk off to you.
We'll do best to make it as simple as possible. The pre-sale raise is 50-50 Project Haley. Fees for market making and LP is split between us and Haley 50-50. Now that's a very, very different story than I've been told up until this point. It wasn't 50-50 pre-sale. Like, that's millions of dollars pre-sale. The fees were millions of dollars, okay? Or like $1 million. And that's what I say. The story's very different. This guy says, I think you can safely distrust anything coming from Doc Hollywood's mouth. He's denying it. He's saying, that's not true.
Right.
And then he says, look, I just can't have the contract published online, willing to let you see it with your own eyes, and saying that's why he was going to let me see it on the podcast. I said, well, these messages were prior to the failure of Hawk Tuah Coin. So I don't understand why would Doc lie? Like, this isn't him saying it to cover himself later. It's him, like, talking in a chat with other insiders back then.
Naturally, Haley's team denied the evidence and tried to cover it up with a different explanation.
Haley would benefit from such a bad contract if what you said is true. And this is really how I feel. Half of 10% of tokens plus 125K makes 0 sense for someone who's bringing in all of the name recognition. Like, you're bringing the whole thing and you're getting this, like, measly piece of the pie? It doesn't check out. Like, 125K is a lot of money, but they made like $4 million. So then he says this, the contract says she was paid 125K.
So she got more than the 120K?
Within 30 days of launch. Interesting.
Oh my God. So she got millions, not just wow, yeah.
And 50% of the net proceeds of the project with mutually agreed upon tokenomics, the tokenomics we agreed to were for half of the 10% of the tokens. Now, I want you guys to realize that what he just said is backtracking on what he's been saying the entire time, which he's been saying the entire time. Oh, it's just...
Wait, so she got more than the 200K. So she literally is acting stupid even though she's getting half of the millions of dollars. No, CoffeeZilla is not in my chat right now, okay? That's he is not one of the 115 people in my chat right now, okay? At CoffeeZilla, he's not in the chat. Like, that's not as cool as it would be for him to be here. He's not here.
Just 50% of the 10%. 50% of the tiny amount of tokenomics we're gonna need. No. What he's saying here, finally, he's giving us the real story. It's 50% of the net proceeds of the project, period. That is completely different from what they've told me. And so I say 50% of the net proceeds does not mean half of 10%. It means 50% of net proceeds, which is market making, pre-sale. This is like $4 million that they talked about. And I don't know if he's just trying to play dumb here, but he goes, we were told by Memetic that MM fees and pre-sale funds were going to be used to run the project.
This led CoffeeZilla to the conclusion that they were downplaying their profit because it would likely implicate them legally.
It would.
And I'm just trying to say, like, you guys aren't the victims. I hope you guys are understanding.
That's what Logan Paul did as well.
That this is kind of my feeling in all this. They're trying to be like, oh, we barely made a dime.
Yeah, Logan Paul acting like it's not a scam because he made no money. It's just the most dishonest shit ever.
That's just not true. Like, that's
They
not
also
what they
did
stood
make money,
to make. I said, what do you mean? You told me I could disregard what Doc said. Remember, he said, oh, you can disregard it. But y'all literally had a contract for 50% of net proceeds. Doc himself said the project was going to cost a few $100,000. If that's the case, pre-sale 2.8 million, fees 1 million, made almost $4 million. Y'all are contractually owed like 1.6 million. And then I shared another insider text I have from Doc Hollywood, where he says, what we can do is put a hard number to the side for the project as cost. Like, we spent a few $100,000 on the project already. That money will be paid back to us off top. Then the profit is paid out. If a few $100,000 is what it costs and the profit's paid out, who's the profit entitled to?
Ooh.
Talk to a girl. That's who it is. And we're all being gaslit about like,
so she literally made millions. It wasn't just the 200K, it was literally millions.
Victim, I stood to make no money.
Insane.
Wrong. You wanted to make no money after you realized the money is like being scrutinized and being sued over and possibly being looked into by law enforcement. Like, we don't know.
Crypto is literally like a second language to me. Can you teach me how to make money on crypto then, please? I'm like so tired of being broke.
Or the way of denying it, Haley's team would admit that they were entitled to some of the profits, a revelation that discredited everything they said on the podcast.
You're right that as it stands, she may be entitled to whatever amounts. However, she was supposed
Message
to have
me on Twitter or something, bro. I'll like learn from you. I'll pay to learn how to do
her not being given the
crypto and
opportunity
shit.
to approve the transaction
Get a
fee,
job.
SaaS, and pre-sale
Get a job.
identities led to the end result.
I'm never getting a job.
So literally,
I'm joking. I'm not broke, but you know, I'm not a millionaire yet.
he's admitting what
Let's put this on. This will
that
make me
he's
richer.
been not telling the truth about how much money they stood to make. You're right, she may be entitled to millions of dollars from a scam? Like, what?
Regardless of what Haley and her team say, the fact of the matter is,
Yeah, I mean, she's just a scammer. That's it. That's the end of it.